So guys, this is what we will do for the next like 10 hours maybe. Of course, this by experienced 3D character artist can be done for maybe 3 or 4 hours at most. But since I explain everything, it will be done for a little more time. This interface that you can see here is not the default ZBrush interface, but I will explain that later. The thing is that, let me explain what we have in the project files here. We have the absolute beginners hotkeys, so we can load them from preferences, hotkeys, preferences, hotkeys, load, and you will have the hotkeys that I use. Then you can load, of course, from the preferences, config, this particular UI, absolute beginners ZBrush Nico interface CFG. So this will load exactly all these things with the lights here, with the brushes here, and the materials and everything. This will be useful. I also explain how to make them yourself, and if you are curious, which you should be, I think, it will be nice. So project files include also the final render Photoshop file. The basic material, it's a one material that we modify a little bit and save. The final ZTL file and the concepts. And for the concept, the original concept is this. Let me show it to you. This one. And I will show you who it belongs to, but after a minute. Then I cropped it and made it with the black background, which made it a transparent background in ZBrush, because pure black is transparent in ZBrush. And then I will show you the art station of the guy that made the concept. His name is Bu Zhou. I'm not sure that I'm spelling it right, but yeah, China guys are very good. This guy is amazing. I love this particular concept of his. Of course, if I would to make this character too, it will be a too long tutorial, so we stick just to the night. And yeah, let's see his other works. He's just amazing artist. I'm just, you know, very good. A lot of things. And yeah, he has a very good feeling of silhouette and everything. And my profile, my name is Nikolai Naidanov, and this is my stuff, the stuff that I do some tutorials and everything. So yeah, that's it for now. I've shown you the project files, I've shown you how to load the interface, but that's also shown in the next videos. So let's go, let's do this. Okay guys, you want to start sculpting in ZBrush, right? That's your main goal. So I will show you how to do that, but first we need to clear up some things. First, when you start ZBrush, when you download it from Pixologic site, trial version for example, when you install it, and when you open it, you will see this window, most likely. And this window is this particular thing with a lot of things on it, is the lightbox. You can disable and enable the lightbox from here. And when we disable lightbox, it's very scary because we have this empty canvas, which is very scary. So we enable a lightbox, and I will show you how I start always with most of my projects. I start with one of those spheres here. Dynamesh Sphere 1, Dynamesh Sphere 3, Sphere 6, or all of them are Dynamesh spheres. It doesn't matter if you start with Polysphere also, but let's start with Dynamesh Sphere, it's more convenient. So I will just double click on it, the Dynamesh Sphere 6 for example, and it will be here. So now this is the sphere and we will start working on it, but first I need to explain some things. So this menu here, the tool menu, will be docked on your left side. This is the right side. I mistake sometimes. So this is the right side. Here you have this tool menu. This is the most important menu, hands down. In ZBrush you have a lot of things here. I will show you in a moment. I want to quick explain how those menus here are arranged. They're arranged by alphabetic order. So file is not first. Alpha is first, then brush, color, document, draw, and so on. File is here. But file you won't need in the near future. I rarely use it. I use tool. The tool menu have everything you need. You save a tool, you load a tool, everything. So, tool is like a file in, for example, Photoshop. Most of you probably are familiar with Photoshop, so I will make analogies with Photoshop. So first, the tool is like a file in Photoshop. You can have multiple tools open. I haven't tried it, but probably more than 20 tools can be opened in the same times. The same in ZBrush. In Photoshop, you can open 20 files. It's not a problem. Every file in Photoshop will have its own layers, and the same here. Every tool has subtools, which is cool. So subtools can be a lot. They can be, in my most sophisticated projects, probably around 62 subtools, which is equal to 60 layers in Photoshop probably, which is a lot. You know, when you're working in Photoshop, you know that those layers can be a lot. But the thing is that you always want your subtool menu open here. In my tutorials that I do for sculpting, for anatomy, I usually use 1 or 2 subtools. So for basic sculpting, you can use only 1 or 2 subtools. It's up to you. But usually it will be like this. So you can see the tools here. So this tool is a star. You can click on it. It doesn't matter. This tool is polysphere, this tool is cylinder. We can add tools here, but now we don't need that. We need our sphere. So we click on the sphere and we saw it here. The main thing you have to learn in ZBrush is how to navigate here. And also the brushes, but the brushes are easy. So I will show you how to navigate. To navigate the ZBrush, you just need to click with your tablet. This is rotation. Click and drag, just rotation. You can do it with your mouse also. Of course, with mouse, ZBrush is not that good. You have to have a graphic tablet. But for the beginners, just to get familiar, you can use mouse, no problem. So first, drag just to rotate the object. And you can see it's rotating because of this plane. If we didn't have this plane, probably we won't see it rotating, but whatever. So the next thing, and one of the difficult things, no, this is not the difficult, I will go to the difficult part. So now press Alt and drag, and you will just scroll or just move. This is just moving the object around, and you're not moving exactly the object, you're moving the camera kind of. Since ZBrush is a little bit like 2.5D application, it's not exactly 3D, but it looks like 3D, so it's cool. The very important thing, ZBrush uses only your processor. It doesn't use your video card. So if you have a good processor like most laptops in these days, and they don't have good video cards, you can use ZBrush very successfully in laptop. So it's very good. Okay, so we know how to rotate, just click and drag. We know how to move the camera, which is also important, with just Alt and click and drag. But the zooming part is a little bit difficult. You can use always those buttons here. Moving is here, zooming is here, and rotating is here. The thing is that rotating in ZBrush is a little bit takes a little bit getting used to, because it's difficult. So it's Alt, click. So I'm pressing Alt on my keyboard. Then I click on the canvas. Then I don't release my mouse, but I release Alt, and then I move. So Alt, click, release Alt, and just drag. Alt, click, hold the click, release Alt, and just drag. So this is zoom in and out. This is the most difficult part for the beginners, of course. But probably you will get used to it at some point. You have to just go on and try. Here you will see your brush. Now we are on the standard brush, and it looks like this. You just drag on the object and you will just make this. So every brush has two kind of things that it can do. It can add by just dragging most of the time, and it can subtract with Alt dragging. So we're making a hole, and with all the brushes, you have the option to shift drag and smooth. Very important is the shift drag. Shift is smoothing with every brush. No matter what brush you select, with shift you smooth. So we have to start sculpting, right? Okay, we will, but first we need to have some brushes. So either press here, just press it, and you will open most of the brushes, you will see them here, or just press B on the keyboard, which is very intuitive because B is brush, it's normal. And now we see all these brushes. So the most used brushes are 7 or 8 brushes, and I show them in my tutorial about the speeding up your workflow in ZBrush, and I'm arranging them here and I'm giving them shortcuts, so you can do that also. But first, watch this video until the end and I will show you some things. The next thing we want to do is to start sculpting is to know how to change our brushes. To change our brushes, we go to B, and now for example we want the move brush. Very usual brush, move. So we are on this menu. If our mouse pointer or tablet pointer goes out of this menu, it will disappear. Most of the menus in ZBrush are this way. So we go to this menu and we don't get out of it because it will disappear. And then we stay on here and press M. So these are all the brushes that starts with M. And we find our move brush, which is V. You see this letter here, it says which brush it is. So V, or just click on it. So B, M, and then click on it, or just V, and we are on the move brush. So with the bracket keys, the same is on Photoshop. With the bracket keys, we make our brush bigger or smaller, and it will be better if we disable this dynamic mode. This is the draw size. We can also make it from here bigger or smaller. So this is the draw size of the brush, and since I want a very big brush, I will do it, and we can just make this, just drag and make it smaller like this. Okay, and this is our model. We can disable this floor thing from here, floor, and we can disable also perspective from here. Sometimes it's useful to disable perspective. I'm using only move brush now, but you notice that I will rotate, I will pan, I will rotate, I will move my object. It's very important to do that all the time. Otherwise, you will not have an idea how your model will look from different angles. I always rotate, I move. So you have to get familiar with this. It's the most important thing probably to be able to move, rotate, or pan, or zoom in and out easily. And this will be very important. To disable this dynamic mode, we just double click on it. Dynamic mode, you notice my brush is staying the same now relative to the screen. And if you enable dynamic, it will stay the same relative to the object. So when I zoom out, it will be smaller, but I don't need that. I don't use that. I use always the brushes without dynamic mode, most of them. So I'm just moving for now. In the beginning, you can make like something like head only by move brush, like you see, only move brush. If you know where to move things, you will make a decent start for the head. So next thing you have to know is how to mask and how to hide parts of the object. Masking is pretty easy with control. So with control, drag whatever on the screen, not on the object, outside the object, will do nothing but making the Dynamesh. Dynamesh I will explain probably in some other video, but for now you need to know that this dragging, let's see, yeah, it's making Dynamesh because Dynamesh is on by default with these Dynaspheres, Dynamesh spheres that we have chosen, and that's why we have chosen those Dynamesh spheres. How to go to Dynamesh is going to Tool menu, of course, Geometry, and then find Dynamesh here. Dynamesh is here. And it's on. It's orange, so it's on. And Dynamesh is doing this. So, first, if I click here, I will see the polygons on my model, and this will be useful for our thing. So here, polygons. When I drag with my move brush, I usually stretch the polygons. And this is good, like horns. And when the polygons are too much stretched, they're making this kind of bad shapes. So I want to Dynamesh. To Dynamesh, is you can just click on here and click again, which is not so convenient. I will Control Z. Control Z is undo, like in all programs, of course. So what can we do here is just Control. Now I'm clicking Control, and my pointer, you see, it's set mask. So I will just drag a mask outside my object and just release. Drag and release. And it has to make Dynamesh. But our Dynamesh, I think it's disabled. Yes, it's disabled, so it won't be making it. So I enable Dynamesh, and you can see it's happening. But if you don't want to press this button every time, which is, I don't ever want to press it, and I never press it. Okay, these are horns. Let's make some ears. These are the ears, and you notice that the polygons are far bigger than our normal polygons. So what we want to do here is Dynamesh, Control, drag, and nice, you know. Control drag is when Dynamesh is on, is Dynameshing automatically, and you have this. So now I am on standard brush. You can see because yeah, my shortcuts are working, but standard brush is BS. Let's see where it is. Standard brush. BST. It's T, standard brush. Yeah, it's not very intuitive to find brushes by just bracket keys are opening and close. So it's not intuitive to find brushes like this. B, S is standard brush, okay. T, it's not very good. So probably you should watch my video about customizing your workflow in ZBrush, your user interface, and you will learn more about brushes there, and you will be able to do it better. So now we have this. How to use masks. We can mask like this parts of the object. You see, we have mask. And when we mask some area, and when we try to, for example, move, BMV, which is move, when we try to move, you see, we cannot move the masked part, of course, like in Photoshop. We move only the other parts that are not masked, and I'm smoothing with Shift now. And we see something like this happens. Very easy. We have some interesting forms. So mask is for this. And then I will, of course, Control and mask again to Dynamesh. And we have this, which is nice. Also, we can hide parts of the object. Very important also, how to hide parts. No, let's continue with the masks. Masking some area of the object is good, but we want, for example, to reverse the mask. How to do it? Control, click outside the object will reverse the mask. You can see I'm just holding Control and clicking whatever outside the object. It doesn't matter, I always do it in this side because it's more convenient for me. So if we want to feather the mask, so the border here to be softer, we want to Control click on the object itself. And then we can also reverse, Control click on the object, reverse, Control click on the object, and we will have this mask. But to disable the mask completely, we have mask, we don't want mask. We just Control, drag, and we don't have mask. So it's cool. To get rid of the mask, because we can Control and just drag on the object, and we will make a mask. We can draw with a smaller brush, just make some mask. And if we want to get rid of this mask, we just drag on with Control outside the object and we get rid of this mask. Masking is very powerful in ZBrush, and you will want to use it mostly. For example, here I want to make eye sockets, so I make masks, I reverse the mask, and I just move them inwards like this. And then I will smooth, and I will have this kind of thing. Okay. So yeah, we can work without seeing the polygons. Sometimes I like to see them, sometimes I don't. So other thing you want to make sure you have right in ZBrush is how to save files, of course. How to save the tool, which is the file in ZBrush, is save as and save it, and then load tool, or just double click on the save tool and you will save it. Don't go to file, save as. It will save your old project, which is all those tools, and sometimes you have a lot of tools, you have a lot of things, and it can be a pretty big files, and also it's slower. So I always, even with my most sophisticated files, before I start making some materials and stuff, I always save from here, tool, save as. It's always. If your tool somehow disappears, we don't have it here, where is the tool, how to access it? You just go to tool, they are alphabetically ordered, you go to tool and just click this button here and it will dock here and you will have it again. If your model goes like this and it's out and you cannot find it and you say, what is happening? Well, I don't want to see this ZBrush anymore. You just go to frame here and the object will appear and you will just rotate it, and now I want to move it and it's here. If I want to snap my view, for example, I want exactly from the side view, I will just shift. When I'm moving, just by clicking and dragging, I press shift and it will snap to the closest view. Shift, snap, shift, shift, shift. Okay. The other things that you probably noticed is that I have symmetry here. If you don't have symmetry in the beginning, you have to have symmetry. It's a good thing in the beginning, especially. You press X. X is symmetry. You don't have it here in the menus. You just have to know that X is symmetry. Otherwise, you go to transform, and it's where is activate symmetry, but it's not in the default user interface. But X is, you notice that now I don't have symmetry, now I have it. I have 2 points. Now I don't have, now I have it. I'm just pressing X on the keyboard. It's important when you start, because when you start sometimes you won't have by default symmetry. So take this notice, just have symmetry. Just press X and always start with symmetry. If you don't start with symmetry, it will be awful. If you don't start with symmetry, you can always go and just, now I'm using only move brush. But if you don't have symmetry and you have started already, and you notice now that you don't have symmetry, you can always just start all over. How? Just go to Lightbox and press Dynamesh, sphere 6 for example, or 1, whatever, and double press it, and it will ask you, would you like to save the changes of this project that you have? You will say no, for example, and you will start all over again. Then you will start with symmetry, because you will press X and you will make sure that you have symmetry. But I don't want to start over. I like this, and basically that's it. You can save from here, load here, and that's your first lesson in ZBrush. Or clicking here is your brushes, and you don't need anything more. That's how you start, that's how you continue, and you have to just go with the standard brush, for example, BST, standard brush. And the standard brush is very powerful brush. You can do almost everything with it. I'm now with Alt just digging here, adding here with just no Alt, just dragging, and stuff like this. And you can do almost everything with the standard brush. Of course, you can use some other brushes, but they are not subject of this tutorial, because this is for absolute beginners. Just to make sure you can start with ZBrush, always make some changes, then you can smooth with Shift. Shift is working with every brush, so just press Shift and you will smooth. For example, you have this, Shift, smooth it, make it smoother and nicer. If you want to make some better detail, of course, you can always make this more with more resolution, so you can make more detail. But for the beginners, I always recommend to use in this 64 resolution is nice for the beginners, because if you go bigger, you will probably mess up things. I always start from this resolution very low and then gradually going up. You can see my tutorials about making female head, for example, or male head, and you will notice that I always start from very low resolution. And now this model that I'm doing, that I did only with standard and move brush, you can do this. Of course, you have to have a tablet. Without tablet, it will be difficult, but still, it's you don't need a lot of brushes to start. Move brush is one of the most important brushes, and standard brush, of course, is the second most important brush. Of course, the smooth brush, when you just you notice here I'm on standard brush. Now I press Shift, I go to smooth brush. Now I press Control, and I'll go to mask brush. And you can, when you are holding Control, you can change your mask brush, but this is something else. And Control Shift is making this. You can hide parts of the object and then you can do some things with them. It's very powerful tool, but I will talk about it in other video. For now, all you need to know is what I've shown you, and other things will go from there. You can watch some other tutorials or mine tutorials and you will notice how to do things. For now, bye and take care. I hope that I've made ZBrush a little bit more clearer for you. I haven't gone into much detail on many subtools or many menus, but you don't need them for now. You need only what I've shown you. Very simple. And for the beginning, I think simple is better. So bye for now, and hopefully ZBrush will just take your... You can take your imagination and just do ZBrush. Bye. So now guys, as we know a lot of ZBrush main functions, or just we know how to open file or something, but whatever, we need to customize our ZBrush interface. Why? Because working with the standard ZBrush interface is super slow. It's almost impossible for me. So I think everybody would benefit from customizing their interface in ZBrush. So I will show you how to do it. If you don't want to follow all the things through, you can do just following. Just go to Preferences, go to Config, and then Load UI. You will be able to go here and go to the Project Files folder and take this CFG file. It's Absolute Beginner ZBrush Niku Interface CFG. Press it and open. And now you will have everything that you need to continue onward with this course. But if you like, not everything, I will show you one more thing. Now that you have this interface inside, you have to make your shortcuts, because you won't have them. I have them. You see, Standard 1, Clay Tubes 2, Pinch 3, Move 4, High Polish 5. It's very important. It's one of the most important things when you're making custom interface, to make your hotkeys. How to make hotkeys? I will show you now, and you can continue. To make hotkeys, you have to Control Alt hold Ctrl Alt and click on the item you want to change hotkey to. And you will notice in the top left corner, press any key combination to assign custom hotkey and stuff. So now your mouse should remain here in this item. If you go beyond it, operation cancelled, you know? So watch, Ctrl Alt click, and now I will press 1. And now the short key for this will be 1. Then I will Ctrl Alt click here, press 2. Ctrl Alt click here and press 3. Ctrl Alt click here, press 4, and so on and so on. That's how you assign hotkeys. But when you load this interface, when you load these lights here, and because they are not here by default, those all the materials and stuff, you will probably not have this alpha brush. Yes, because it's a little bit custom, but basically alpha brush is standard brush with RGB and ZAD off, because I don't want every time when I want to polypaint the object to do this on the standard brush. But later in the tutorial, on the course, I'm doing that, so it's not a problem. Next thing, ZAD is the default, not the sub. Next thing, we have a lot of things here, and we have a custom menu with some shortcut assigned to it. It's ZZ Custom, and the shortcut will be, my shortcut is Ctrl-Shift-Alt-A, because it's very close. The A key is very close to Shift, so it's very easy, and also it's a non-use combination from ZBrush, so it's cool. And then if you want to assign it, Ctrl-Alt-Click, then Ctrl-Alt-Shift-A, and then it's assigned. And then whatever you're doing here on the canvas, you can Ctrl-Shift-A and then choose some of these options, and we will do that in the course of this course. And a very important thing, if you are loading this like I did, you should go and store config, press this button, master configuration file can be saved, because if you don't do that, the next time you restart ZBrush, it won't be here, it will be the default. So you have to store config, and one little tiny thing, when you make your short case, you have to go to preference, hotkeys, and store. Store startup hotkeys. When you press it, ZBrush will store all the current hotkeys into its memory, and every time you restart ZBrush, you will have them. If you don't press it, if you don't go to preferences, hotkeys, store, and press it, your hotkeys, when you restart ZBrush, will be gone. That's it. Let's go and make our custom menu for those people who are not lazy enough. I'm pretty lazy, so I understand people that will load it and then continue on, but with those people that want to make it from scratch, let's do it. Maybe I will show you just some of the things, and the others you can figure out yourself. But let's start it. Restore standard UI will restore the absolute standard UI you have, with a little bit of exceptions, because your hotkeys will still be assigned. As I have my hotkeys now, they are still assigned. I have the brushes, I can change them with my hotkeys. So 1 is standard, 2 is clay tubes, 3 pinch, move, and so on. So the hotkeys will not be reset. Maybe we can reset them from hotkeys, restore, store, save, load. No, okay, but that's okay. So first thing we want to do is go to preferences again and dock this window by just clicking on this icon, little icon here. You see, click, and it's docked in this area. You can dock it, of course, if you double click on the border here, you can dock it in this area, but we don't need it for now. So we have to first, in order to customize the interface, go to config and enable customize. When you enable customize, press it, ZBrush will allow you to Ctrl-Alt move objects around. So Ctrl-Alt and just dragging, Ctrl-Alt and just dragging. If you want to delete something, you just drag it into the screen and you delete it. And now I deleted my perspective button, which is the short key is P, but we can go to draw and just Ctrl-Alt, drag it back here. So nothing is irreversible. Of course, you can, if you make a mistake, you can always go to preferences, it's here, and restore standard UI, or just load my UI from project files. So the next thing we want to do is start putting our brushes here, which is the most important thing in my opinion, to have your brushes here and to assign them hotkeys. Sometimes I use the brushes here because I have some brushes that are in this area that doesn't have hotkeys on, because I have only 9 hotkeys from 1 to 9 and I use only to 7. But that's how I'm used to work. So in the beginning you won't have almost any brushes here in the brush menu. The brush menu is here, brush, and you will have to just click to dock it here. If you don't have any brushes here, this is the brushes that are currently that were used in this session probably. So what do? We go to press B, or we press here. It's the same. So when we press here or here, it doesn't matter, we get the brushes. And now, for example, we want the standard brush, and standard brush probably will be here. We can drag brushes only from this area to the interface. So dragging and putting it here. It's very wide, you will notice. How to fix the wideness of the brush? So Control Alt, drag it to place it in this area. And now I want the brush to be square, not rectangle. So I will go to my, I think interface was the thing, UI, and white buttons will turn off. And now you see it's a square. The other thing I will you'll pay your attention to is the button size here in the UI palette. Again, in the preferences, interface, UI, button size. Button size in my case is 38, which is the lowest. In your case, by default, it will be 40 something. If you want to have these smaller buttons to have more area to work with, you have to dial it down to 38, and the changes will take effect after you restart the brush. But just dial it down and continue working here with this with me. So standard brush will be 1. Next brush we want will be the clay tubes brush. We press B, then we press C to go to the brushes that have C on them, which is clay tubes brush, and we find clay tubes. It's here. We just press it to make it active here, and it will appear. Clay buildup. It will appear somewhere here. I cannot see it, but it should be here somewhere. Yeah, let's change to another brush, and clay buildup. I cannot see it, which is very, very strange. Clay tubes, here it is. But this is clay tubes 2. Because I assigned the short key 2. So it shows when something has a short key like BPR, for example, it's Shift Q, you notice. And some other items also have. And this clay tubes brush, which I lost again, it's here, have this too. So when you select the brush from the brush menu here, when you select it, it will appear in this area and you can drag it, because you cannot drag from the brush menu. You cannot. You can drag only from the brush palette here. So clay tubes will be second. Then we want the which was the third brush, pinch brush. So we go B, P to go to pinch brushes, select it, and now it will appear here. Let's see, pinch, yes. Control Alt, drag it, and so on. You can drag your brushes here. Since you can load my interface, this I will show you faster how to do it. The next brush will be the move brush. It will be 4. The 5 will be high polish brush. 6 will be inflate brush. 7 will be damp standard brush. It's very good brush. And the 8 will be the Z modeler brush. And the orb cracks brush will be here too. Next thing, I won't continue, you know, it's the same. Next thing we want to do is put some materials in this area. You will notice that we have them in my custom interface. Materials, let's go to material window, dock it here. Just close the brush window, and let's see one thing. Let's go to interface, palettes, and one open subpalette is on. What this means is when we go to, for example, our geometry tab, you know, it's we can open subtools, and then we go to geometry, and the subtool will be closed, which I don't like a lot. So I will go and disable this option. Pretty good. And now we can continue with our materials. Let's go to material, open it. And now I will drag materials from here. I want here to have standard material, which pretty much should be here. Basic material, yes. I want it here. I want some other material like toy plastic. It's for the ice, is very good material. Basic material, this is a custom material that we will make in the course of this tutorial, because I'm recording this video, as you can see, after the course is completed. But whatever. Reflected map, why not? Let's put it here, and maybe gold we want, but we want to appear here the gold, so we go to B, not gold, we go to material. So material is here, press material here, or M. No, M is not. So material, I will notice the materials, I will talk about them later, but we have to find the gold material, press it, and it will appear here, the small icon. Control Alt, drag it here, and we have materials and this. The nice thing, what I do is I just drag those items here. Remember dynamic mode, why not? It could be here. I just remove those move scale and rotate because I don't use them. You might not remove them, it's up to you, of course. And I'm just arranging my items as I need them to be. Of course, here we need to put another very important thing from color menu, fill object, control drag it here, control alt drag it here, and it will be here. Of course, if we want to see if we are on edit mode or not for the menus, enable customize should be also here, and store config also will be here. Okay. Yeah, and now you can disable customize and everything. Remember, when you're making shortcuts for your brushes or for anything in the interface, you have to disable this button for shortcuts, because otherwise Control Alt clicking will not get you to do anything, just nothing, you know. But when you disable it, Control Alt click will get you to make a short key. Yes. Let's go to my basic material that I have done for the video, for the tutorial, because the normal basic material is a little bit dull. So this is better, of course. And then we can continue with some other things, like, for example, we go to our let's see, geometry tab. Subtool could be open too. Yes, geometry, and go to modify topology and get some stuff from here like mirror and weld. You can enable customize, Control Alt drag mirror and weld here, and we can Control Alt drag also from transform palette some things to help us, like this is the symmetry stuff from transform palette, XYZ. Okay, let's dock this palette, it will be much easier. It's up here. So M also. So X, Z, okay, Y is not here. This is Y and Z, they're on the same spot. That's interesting. You can put one item on top of the other, which is completely wrong in my opinion, but whatever. Radial count, R also, and all those things, very nice. Also, we can put our lights here. It's very important. Lights, especially when you render or stuff, I will dock the menu here just by pressing this button. Okay, light, press it, and it go here. If you want to get it out, you just either drag it or just press this button again. So the light, we need only this preview of the light, pretty good, and 4 of those first lights, and 4, but I use only those 2 that are active now. This is the one, and diagonally this is the rim light. Then intensity is very important to have here, although it's making this this interface element a little bit wider, but I need it. Then the color of the light is pretty important. Ambient is also good to have. And from light properties, the shadow. And that's it. It's very easy, just alt dragging those things. You have to know what to drag. Of course, when you get through this course, the whole course, you will notice that you will know what you want to have on the screen. You will just start to know this. So weld points, also we will get where it is on geometry tab under the tool menu. So tool, down, 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 geometry, down, 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 modify topology. Yeah, I know, a little bit complicated, but if you don't want to mess up your head now, just load my interface, store config, make your hotkeys, and you will be set to go, you know. And of course, if you are worrying that you'll have to sit on another ZBrush sometimes and work on the standard interface, don't have to. You just get a flash drive or on your phone, upload this CFG file, which is the absolute beginner's ZBrush Nico interface CFG, or your own CFG file you can make by going to preferences and save UI. You can save your own file and just load it in whatever ZBrush, and you will be set to go. Of course, you will just have to set up your hotkeys, which you can also save. So you can save the hotkeys file, you can save the CFG file, and you'll just have to load those two files and it will start working, and it will be much quicker. I promise you that with the standard ZBrush interface, you will work at one speed. With my interface, if you get used to it, or your own interface, you will work at least 3 times faster. That's completely true. I'm not exaggerating at all. It's completely true. So we go to geometry and go and put here weld points, but we have to be enabled customize. Okay, we are. So weld points goes here. Weld distance also below it. And del hidden we will put in another place. I think we are kind of done. Of course, I have here in my interface inflate, which I use kind of often. So we'll go to deformation, which is again in the tool palette. The tool palette is the most important. There are all the tools you need, the subtools here and everything. So we go to deformation under the tool palette and we find our inflate. Here it is. We have inflate balloon. We have a lot of things here. We can check them out. Don't be afraid to test. It will be very important to test. It's very much fun to do also. So inflate, I will place it right here. And again, I will store config. Master configuration file will be saved in order to save this things that I have done. And also, of course, go to preferences, hotkeys, and store the hotkeys too if I want. And the hotkeys, I will tell you again how to do them. For example, since I never save a file from here, or almost never, only in the end of the project, because it saves a little bit bigger file. It's not that good. I always save here, tool, save as. So I save a tool. And the default shortcut for the save file is Control S, and for the save tool, Control Shift S, I'm not sure. But I also always go Control Alt click, and since my enable customize is active, I won't be able to make a shortcut. So I'll disable the customize and I will Control Alt click on the save as and press Control S. And now with Control S, I can easily save my tool, my current tool, which is very good. Import and export, you can also I have put Control Shift S to export because I sometimes export a lot of OBJs, and export will export only your subtool as an OBJ file. Save as will save all your subtools in the current tool. These are the tools here. We can change. This is different tool. It will have its own subtools, and this is a different tool. It has like a lot of subtools. Not that much. I mean, you see, this is the beginner's course, so we end up with like not more than 15. Let's see. Yeah, there are 12. 13 tools, subtools, 13 subtools we have only. So it's not very complicated, obviously, and I think everybody could do it if they have the will to go through all the tutorial videos. So in the next video I will show how to make your custom menu in ZBrush, which again you don't have to do it because it is in the CFG file which you can load, but if you want to see how it's done, just you can do it. Now that we have our interface element set, we can make a custom ZBrush menu that we can open very quickly, and it will contain the most important elements for us. This will be done by the following, but first I will show you again. If you are, the draw size, I just made it bigger. Yeah, but by the way, very important, dynamic on the brush is on by default for every brush almost. This dynamic here. Double click on it, it will enable it, and double click will disable it. Dynamic draw size is a bit of a bum. You know, I think I've shown you already, but for example, now it's not dynamic. So our brush size will look the same. Either the model is here, it will be now very big compared to the model, but it will be the same as the model is here. It's the same. It doesn't change. But if we press dynamic, the brush size will change according to the model. So now it's this size. It's a little bit smaller than his head, and now it will be again smaller than his head. Now it will be the same as compared to the model. I don't like that. I like dynamics to be off. So there's a little plugin. I think it's here. Dynamic off, dynamic on. The plugin, I don't think you will have to put it on. You just have to disable dynamic manually if you don't want to work with dynamic. I like to work without dynamic because I like to make my brush, then zoom to work with it as a little bit smaller brush, then zoom out to work with it as a big brush. You know, this is very much easier than to go with the bracket keys and make the brush smaller or bigger. It's just a faster way to work. But let's concentrate on our custom menu in ZBrush. So go to our preferences here, config everything, quick info no, hotkeys no, interface no, custom UI. Okay, create new menu. We have to click it, but we cannot. Why? Because enable customize have to be enabled, of course. And now we can create new menu, add a name which will be custom, ZZ custom, like ZZ top, but not quite, and then press enter. And we have this custom menu, which is this one. It's absolutely empty, but we can dock it. I want to dock it on the other side, so I will just grab it by this button, grab it without any keys pressing, just grab it on the button and press it, place it there. Now we can go and custom subpalette, make a custom subpalette. What is custom subpalette? Like for example, like preference have this config custom subpalette. It's not custom, it's subpalette. So these are subpalettes on our palette. So preference has this config, quick info, hotkeys, and so on. We will make the same here. So custom subpalette, we will just Control Alt, drag this custom subpalette and drop it here inside ZZ custom. And now we have this untitled. We cannot rename it until we put something in it. And this will be the zero mesh subpalette. So we'll go to geometry, and again, let me say, if you find this very complicated and you don't want to do it, you just want to start working, start learning stuff, you go to preferences, you go to config, you go to load UI, and just load from the project files, absolute beginner ZBrush, Nico interface, CFG file, and you will have everything except for the short keys. The short keys, you will have to do them after that with Control Alt, disable customize, and Control Alt click, press 1 for example, Control Alt click, press 2, Control Alt click, press 4, and so on and so on. This, I'm repeating this because I think maybe some people are just skipping ahead or something, so I have to say that again. I think I have to. And then you have to store config, press this button, to store the configuration of your ZBrush. So when you open ZBrush, it will be like you pressed store config, like when you press it. And of course, the short keys will be saved by going to hotkeys and store. Press store and they will be saved. And now, no matter how much time you restart ZBrush, you will have your custom hotkeys and custom interface, which is fine. But now let's concentrate on this a little bit. Let's go to our geometry tab and find ZRemesher. ZRemesher is here on geometry, which is under the tool menu, tool. Let's close this, geometry, deformation. So tool, have this always open, you know. Then you have subtool, geometry and stuff. Subtool and geometry are the most important. Everything else is not that important. So geometry, ZRemesher, find ZRemesher. Yeah, it sounds a bit complicated, but since we will put all those things that we'll need in our menu, we don't open that things that much. We'll only use our menu most of the time. And now ZRemesher, we will Control Alt drag. Nothing happens because enable customize have to be enabled. And now Control Alt drag here, ZRemesher, and detect edges we can put here. We can put keep groups here. We can put target polygon count. It's not we can, but we have to put it. And basically we are good with the ZRemesh. Now how to change the name? Control Alt click ZRemesh and press enter. And now we have this custom subpalette. We'll make another one. We'll go to the preference menu, Control Alt drag, place it here. It will go below most of the time. Sometimes it will go above, which is a little bit a bummer because we cannot rearrange them here very easily. We have to delete one and then make it again in order to rearrange them. So we have to put here what? We have to put del hidden, we have to put Dynamesh. Let's go to Dynamesh because it's here again, Dynamesh, and get the Dynamesh button. You will notice in the next video that Dynamesh is pretty important, especially for the starting of the sculpt. So we will use it. And I'm using it also from here, not only from my custom menu, but from here. So if you don't make this custom menus, you will not be that it will not be that problematic to continue. But if you make it or load mine, it will be much easier for you to start, and you will start with a very good start. You will be very fast. So I'm placing this resolution. I will have to place del hidden and close holes. And del hidden and close holes are in modified topology, again in geometry. Everything is here. So del hidden, I'll place it here above. Close holes, where is it? Here it is, close holes here. So we have this menu. We can of course go to Dynamesh and press place polish and group, but we don't have to. And then just Control Alt click on the untitled Dynamesh. It's done, you know, and so on. You can make your I will of course make them. The next one will be, let's go to the preferences, custom zip palette, place it here. Don't place it here, place it in the top, and it will go in the bottom, which is absolutely fine by us. Dynamic subdivisions, yeah, dynamic subdivisions is pretty good. Here it is in the geometry tab again. So we will using here dynamic subdivisions, crease, Dynamesh, ZRemesher, mostly these things. Also other things are pretty useful, but for now we will use this, and of course this thing here for the resolution. But that will be ahead in the course. So dynamic, we press dynamic, place it in there. Let's try, okay. Then dynamic cannot go with the smooth subdiv. It's absolutely mandatory to have this smooth subdiv here. And then we will have apply. Also important for this. Of course, the only thing I'm using from this whole menu with a lot of options, I'm using dynamic, smooth subdiv and apply. That's the way I do it. And then I will Control Alt click and press dynamic, for example, or dynamic subdiv, it doesn't matter. Then we place another Control-Alt dragging here on the top, and it will go here. Split merge. Let's go merge down, the bottom merge down. I rarely use it from there, but still we have to take it. It's in subtool. Down, merge, open merge, and then place merge down. Merge down I use a lot, but I rarely use it from my custom menu. I don't know, because I'm not used to, you know. It's okay. Split unmasked points, it's very important, and I use it a lot. So we get it Control-Alt, since it's inactive, because we don't have a mask. But if we make a mask, we cannot split again because we have subdivisions, but whatever, this is not important. So merge down will be up, and the split unmask will be down, and split hidden also is very important. We'll put it here. Del hidden, split hidden. It's not the same. Del hidden will be deleting what you don't see from your current subtool, and split hidden will just split it in another subtool, the hidden parts. And now Control-Alt click and merge, split, or split merge. Let's split merge. Okay, another button will be visibility. It's pretty important. So another button, no, custom subpalette. Let's put it up here. It will be down, and we'll place there grow, shrink, flip, and double. Flip and double will be from the display or display properties. Yes, flip and double. And then we go to grow and shrink, which will be in polygroups, I think. Let's see. It should be here. Grow and shrink. I don't see it. So visibility probably. Yes, grow and shrink. I don't use it that often, the grow and shrink, but flip and double I use a lot. So let's place here visibility. And then the last one, auto groups, group visible, it will be the grouping stuff. Control-Alt drag this up here, not here, down here, but up, so it's down. Yeah, it's counterintuitive, but it's like this. And then we go to groups, polygroups. Let's go to polygroups. Drag Control-Alt drag auto groups here, and something else. Group visible, very important. Group visible, it's here. Coverage, okay. And group masked, also a pretty useful thing. Let's place it down. And now we have everything. We can name this Control-Alt click groups, or just leave it blank, untitled, like I did when I made this menu. And of course, last thing you want to do is make a short key for this menu, so you can call it out wherever you're working on the model. You just have to disable customize, because otherwise you cannot do shortcuts. Control-Alt click on the menu, leave your mouse there, don't move it, because if you move it, you will cancel the operation cancel. So Control-Alt click and press your key combination that you want. In my case, it's Control-Alt-Shift-A. And that's assigned. And now, when I'm working, I will call my menu from wherever I am, you know, just calling it. It doesn't have to be here, and we can also call it from here. And I called it ZZ Custom because I want it to be at the end of the stack, because they are alphabetically ordered. You know, A, B, C, D, D, E, F, L, L, M, 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 all of M's. M and M. Okay, that's it for now. Of course, again, I will tell you, if you don't want to do everything, or if you cannot do it, you have difficulties, because I explained it a little bit fast, you can go to Preferences, Config, Open Config, and Load UI, and load my UI from the project files, and then just make the custom hotkeys, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. just by Control-Alt, clicking, and then pressing the hotkey. And then store config, and the hotkey is also store. And you will be set. You can start working. So that will be it for now. Thank you, and let's continue. Let's start making this particular character that you see now on the screen from zero. Yes. And I will show you everything. Bye. Hello guys. Now I will show you first two ways of making a reference image to stay on your monitor. I have two monitors, and this is not very relevant to people that have two monitors, although when you have the image here in the monitor itself near your sculpt, it's easier. So I will show you two ways. First way is this. This is PureRef. Maybe some of you have already used this. This is an application called PureRef, like pure reference. But PureRef, it's very, very famous, and you can see some lessons for it in internet and stuff. Of course, you can go here by right-clicking, mode, always on top. You make sure that this is on because by default it's not, and it will be on top of your window, ZBrush window. The other way that I use mostly is from ZBrush. So how do you remember how we start a file in ZBrush? We just open ZBrush and then just double click here, press no, and we have this sphere. And now we have everything here. We open subtool, we open geometry just in case. How to put a reference file here, a reference image? We go to the texture here in the upper part, texture near tool and stroke, and just click it. And then go to import. We will use, don't just be intimidated by this complex thing. We use import, just import, and then we go to our file. We import this, for example. I made it with black background in Photoshop. Why? I will show you in a minute. We open this and then nothing happened. And you say, what? But you go again to texture and then click it because it's here. And you notice it's with transparent background because the textures in ZBrush, the spotlight is this add to spotlight. When we add something to spotlight, it will go on the screen. Let's add it. Just press this button here. This here, add to spotlight. Press it, and now it's here. Magic. And it's with transparent background. Very important, because it was black. You don't have to do this, you know, by transparent background, but whatever. So now what we do? It's covering most of our area. Not good. So we can move it by just placing our mouse inside the circle, but not in the center. This center is moving the circle itself, just the center. But outside, between the center and this area, is that we move the image. We can scale it by going to this icon. So basically, here we use only this icon for scaling. Just press it and just drag with the mouse or with the tablet. And again, I'm using tablet. Now I'm using mouse for this, but I can use the tablet also. Yeah, now I'm using the tablet. And we make it this big, for example, and put it here in the side view. We can always, of course, move it. And now we gotta get rid of this circle here. We can hide it, for example, but it's not very good. We just press Z on a keyboard. So remember, press Z to hide this, and now we have our reference. It's there. So if we press Z again, it will be shown. If we press Shift Z, everything will be gone. If we press Shift Z again, it's there. So we have this. This is our reference. We can start working now. But one thing, very important, we will start working, for example, with the move brush, and we can start doing some stuff. Let's remove the floor and just do the head. We'll start with the move brush, and let's remind ourselves how to navigate everything, how to navigate the interface. Dragging, just clicking outside the model. Inside the model will be something with the brushes, but outside we will rotate. We can rotate. Alt clicking and dragging, we will move or pan, not the model, but the camera. Because if you see the floor, we're moving only the camera. And then with Alt, click, and then release Alt, we can, and then drag, but we are holding down the mouse or the tablet. And I recommend you to use the tablet if you plan to use ZBrush, because tablets are pretty cheap these days. Wacom tablets are recommended, and even the cheapest Wacom tablet is around maybe $50–60, I'm not sure, but in my country is around €60, I think, so it's pretty cheap, and it's working, and it's doing great job. So even the cheapest, but let it be Wacom. Don't get another brand, it's doesn't work. So we will get to our, for example, standard brush and start working, and nothing happened. And you will say, what? Why is this? I will tell you why. When we put our spotlight here, our image, we have to go and do one more thing. Very important. Go to brush here, alpha, then brush, and then go to the fourth option, create curve dipped samples, and disable spotlight projection. Very important. If spotlight projection is on, most of your brushes will not work. So maybe only the move brush will work, and barely anything else. Now we will go ahead and start sculpting the head, and I will explain you Dynamesh. Dynamesh is the basis in ZBrush these days. Before Dynamesh was introduced in ZBrush, like a few years ago, maybe 6 years ago, I'm not sure how much years was that, but still Dynamesh is immensely important. You can do whatever, and I've shown you how Dynamesh works. Basically, when we turn on the polyframe here and drag, you'll see that the polygons get messed up. And also this, for the beginning, this kind of polygon density is not good. So we'll go to Dynamesh and go, for example, for the default sphere, I start always with 44 resolution of Dynamesh. So 44, press enter, and now just drag a mask outside the model. You can drag it just a little bit, just tiny mask. We can drag it big mask, but don't drag it until it goes to the model. Just drag it somewhere. So we move, drag, it's simple. So I'll Control Z a few times because I don't need this. But also one thing, it's not that important for you, but when the model is near this spotlight and with Dynamesh, the spotlight cuts the Dynamesh. Is very interesting. So we have to bear in mind, it's a bit, you know, you have to Control Z. Sometimes you don't see it and it's a bit tricky. So when I Control Z or get or undo, the resolution became bigger. So I will go 44 again, press enter, it's 48, no problem. This is my resolution. And now I can start working with move brush, for example, and start making the shape of the helm. And you will notice that I always turn and pan and do stuff like this, which you will find difficult maybe in the beginning, but don't worry. With practice, everything will be okay. You know, you have to just practice. You have to push yourself a bit in the beginning, and then everything will be fine. Now I want to make this kind of a line in the middle. I will go to my high polish brush, which is 5. And I will remind you, if you don't have this interface again, with the brushes here and with the shortcuts, you just have to go to Preferences, Load UI, and load the CFG, I think was the file, CFG file, from the project folder. So, from the project files folder. And then, with the high polish, I'm just making this. Just basic things, easy, move brush. I'm working slow because I want to show you everything. And I wanted to show you the Dynamesh. And from the Dynamesh window, we are using only Dynamesh, resolution, and polish sometimes. That's it, nothing else. Project, no. Groups, no. Maybe groups sometimes, but I barely use it. Maybe in the last year, I made a lot of models, never use this. sub projection, no, add sub, and no, create shell, no. No, just Dynamesh resolution. So that's why we have this here, Dynamesh resolution and those things here. So don't be afraid by don't be frightened by all these menus in ZBrush. We are using in a base sculpting just a tiny bit of them. I mean, not too much. So now you see I'm panning, I'm rotating constantly, so I can make sure that I have a good model. And I always start with Dynamesh. Dynamesh is my bread and butter. It's very important. You can make everything with Dynamesh and then refine it with other methods. But Dynamesh, super important. So we have to make sure that our face here, face area, is a bit smaller, and the other area is a bit bigger. Yeah, I know my English is the best, of course. And yeah, I should write pure ref because I cannot pronounce it properly right, but it's okay. It's okay because I think if someone wants to learn, they will understand, or you will understand. So basically, with high polish and move, and sometimes smooth, and smooth, remember, is with shift. Shift, smoothing, alt, moving around, control, masking, and control shift is polygroups. But polygroups we will discuss in other video, of course. You will see. I like the videos to be about some things, and then we will talk about, and we will repeat them, and everything will be okay. Because by repetition you will learn. And yeah, Dynamesh we will use a lot in the beginning. When we have the overall form of everything, we'll stop using Dynamesh. But for now, we'll use it a lot. So I will go to my standard brush and then make sure I have this kind of holes. How I make them? With Dynamesh, with standard brush, but with Alt. Because Alt is just making different the brush to sub. You know, the brush itself is Z-add. Most brushes by default are Z-add. When you press Alt, they become Z-sub. So if you go Z-sub and without pressing Alt, they will act like by default with Alt. Now with Alt, they will act like default brush. So Control Z and Z-add. Okay. Now what we have here is a head. And it's looking kind of good, but of course in the beginning nothing will look perfect. We'll have to figure a lot of things, proportions, forms. We have to be careful not to rush it. And we have this kind of head. And it will work, no problem. But probably we will do some else. For example, we can do this with the clay tubes brush, which is number 2. And remember, if you load from preferences and from config, load UI, if you load this CFG, which is in the project files, you probably will have to still make those shortcuts here. And you know, I will even say how to make these shortcuts. Now you go to the thing that you want to make shortcut of, then press Ctrl Alt and click on it, and you will notice in the top corner, press any key combination to assign custom hotkey and stuff. So while our mouse is in this area, we can press a key combination. For example, this is 1, but it's 1, so I won't press it. But when you press it, you will assign 1 to this. But if we remove the mouse, hotkey node operation cancelled here. So that's how you make key combination. It's very easy. You don't have to be enable customize or anything. But remember one thing again, a hot tip. If you are making a key combinations short keys or hotkeys, when you close the brush, it will ask you, do you want the key combinations to be saved? Press yes, and you will be okay. So now I will show you one more thing, just one brush that I like to use that it's not here, but I use it always for horns, for arms, for legs. Very good brush. I press B in order to get my brushes, or I go here in order to get my brushes, and then I go to this brush, which is curved tube. This brush, as you can see, looks like a guy with the big mustaches and eyebrows, big eyebrows. So this guy is very good. What it does is making something like this. We can make horns from it, and we can also work on it until we have to accept it. But be careful, because for example now the horns are too big. How we can shrink them? It's a little bit interesting. So when we are here near the spline, this is a curve, near the curve, our brush is blue. When we go outside, it's red. While it's red, we can make it smaller and then go here and click on the curve. And then it will be, if we make the brush smaller here and click, nothing will happen, This is just for making this horns. And then our brush will be this size, This is different sizes. So if I want it to be smaller, I will click again the bracket key and I will make it smaller, and then I can work on it like this. And of course, we can always work on it more. The base thing in ZBrush is to have something from which to make something. What I mean is, we have this, and we can make these horns with very much ease, because this is very much resembling the form. It's not exact, but it's very close. So, how do I accept this? Many people are having difficulties accepting curves. It's very easy. Just click on the model. Just click without alt, without anything. Just click, and it's accepted. Yes. So I go to my move brush, and then I just move this up like that. Very easy. And what I like to do also is when I have separate objects, like the horns are a little bit separate from the helm. So what I like to do is, while they are masked, because we have inserted this mesh into the other one, and now the other one is masked, so we can move only this one. So this is masked. We will use that. We will not unmask. We'll go ahead and split those two into, because we have now only one subtool. We'll split it to have two subtools, one for the horns, one for the helm. It will be much more convenient to work with. Okay, and when we make Dynamesh for the horns, if they are connected here, there will be one mesh which is not exactly what we want. We won't have control. So better to be different mesh. So split unmasked or split masked, it doesn't matter. It will split them, basically. So now we have the helm, and we are on it here. You'll notice we are on the helm subtool now. And very important thing that I think I didn't say, how to change between the subtools with alt click, alt click, alt click, alt click, alt click, or from here. Of course, we can see this is our horns in the thumbnail. This is the helm. So we are on the horns. I will continue to work on the horns like this. And of course, I will smooth here because we have too much of a stretch geometry. And we can try Dynamesh it at 48. Why not? I just made a mask, just a quick mask, and it's Dynameshed. And now I will smooth it with Shift. I'm pressing Shift and just dragging, just pressing and dragging, and it's smoothed. And now we can try to inflate it someplace. For example, with 6 is our inflate brush. You can see here inflate. And I will go with the big inflate brush and go a little bit like this, a little bit away from the model, and just inflate. Because if I inflate near the model, it will be like this. And I want it to be better, so I inflate a bit away from the model with a very big brush. And this will give me more control without breaking the model and making it blobby and stuff. That's important. Another thing, pretty important, but many people are not saying it. Dynamic mode for the brushes. I will show you that in a minute. By default, most brushes have dynamic mode enabled like this. Dynamic mode, what it does, I don't like it. So I always disable them. What it does is when we go away from the model, our brush remains the same size compared to the model. So here it's big, here it's small, but it's not good to work with, you know. I like to disable dynamic mode, and now whatever the brush I made, it will remain the same size no matter where the model is. And for now, that will be all. In the next video, we will start working probably again with Dynamesh, or we will see what. But this is starting to look good. So see you in the next one. Okay, let's say it again. We said it in the first video, but let's say it again. Where is Dynamesh? Very important. It's in the tools menu, in the tool menu, down in geometry, because geometry is the second thing in the tool menu. You have this menu here, which is always open. We have subtool, which is always open, and you can regulate how much visible subtools you have. But yeah, let's leave that for now. And then you have the geometry. The geometry tab is pretty important. We have Dynamesh, we have dynamic subdiv, we have crease. Those things we will use the most, and also zero measure. But therefore later. For now, we only have to know that in order to Dynamesh to be active, to be working, it has to be active. It has to be orange. If it's not orange, it will not do anything. So we can do, for example, this and mask with control and drag whatever we want, and nothing will happen unless we press Dynamesh. And when we press Dynamesh, you see that the other horn is gone because it was here and it cut it. So Control Z, and when we press Dynamesh, it will Dynamesh it, and then we can move Dynamesh, and so on. Let's Control Z a few times. Now the horns, they are not in correct position, and now I will need to move them. So moving geometry is not very tricky these days in ZBrush. Back in the days it was tricky, very tricky, but now it's just a matter of pressing W or going to, yeah, we don't have it here. So yeah, in the normal menu, it is move, scale, rotate, MSR, but they are W, E, W, E, R. I'm pressing W, I'm pressing E, I'm pressing R. They're very easy to reach keys. So in order to have this pivot on a screen, so we can move, rotate, and do whatever, we need to press either W, E, or R. I always press W because it's the most left key of all those keys. So when we press W, we will have this pivot here. When we press W again, we'll still have the pivot there. So the pivot will be there unless we press Q. So Q is near W, so it's pretty easy. W, the pivot is here. Q, the pivot is gone. And we can continue working on our model. So yeah, Control Z, you know, is Control Z and Control Shift Z. Control Z, Control Shift Z. Undo and redo. So let me tell you how to move. First, when I'm moving something or rotating in ZBrush, I like to disable my perspective. So perspective is here, this button, and it's always here, or pressing P on the keyboard, but I rarely use it because P is too much on the right. It's not very easy to use with the left hand, so I press perspective here. And now press R or W, yeah. But since I want to rotate, and yeah, rotate is R, I sometimes press R, yeah, I admit it. But W is the same, because you get this pivot, and the pivot do everything. Before the pivot in ZBrush, there was another thing, which was the Gizmo 3D. No, this is the Gizmo 3D. Before that, it was this thing, and it was awful. So let's stick to Gizmo 3D. So the Gizmo is this. Yeah, I told you how to stick your views. What I mean is, I pressed Q, so Gizmo is gone. So we click, drag, and then press Shift, and then release everything. And then we are looking at left, from the left side. Now, Shift, no, not Shift, but just drag to rotate, and then Shift. And we are looking from exactly from the back. And when we don't have perspective, it's exactly back. Now, Shift, Shift, Shift. So when we are closer to one of the viewpoints, we just press Shift. And yeah, so from the top, I want to rotate the horns a little bit backwards. So I press W, so I get my Gizmo 3D, and I start to rotate. But what if my Gizmo is here? If I rotate, it's not good. So we need to move the Gizmo. To move the Gizmo without moving the object, because now we are moving the object. When we get those angles here, whatever we get of those angles, we are moving the object. So in order to move the pivot only and to position it wherever we want it, so we can rotate around it, we have to press Alt. And you will notice this padlock here. When I press Alt and move, it's just unlocked. When I release Alt, it's locked. When I press Alt and start moving, it's unlocked. So now I'm moving only the pivot, then I release Alt, and you see Alt to unlock, it's written in the below the Gizmo. And now I can rotate. Since I have symmetry, I'm rotating both of them. And now I have this, and this is a little bit closer to reality. Now I will just get my model a little bit back. I will just separate myself a bit from the object, from my model. By how do we pan? Zoom. It's clicking or just pressing, then pressing Alt. No, it's just pressing Alt, then clicking, moving, and then releasing Alt and continuing to drag. And yeah, so this is, yeah, I told you that. I told you even twice. This is counterintuitive a bit. It's not like in any other program, but it's working. And it's, yeah, you can get used to it. I promise you, you will get used to it. I will disable lazy mouse because I don't need it now. And I will disable the polyframe so I don't see my geometry. I don't want to see it now. I don't need to see it. And I can, if I want to, you know, with the standard brush to put a little bit geometry here, it will be best if I press solo. So it's not getting on my way. And the draw size is good, the intensity is nice. Sometimes ZBrush is losing. Let's try 7, which is okay. Sometimes the tablet is losing its properties, its sensitivity, and we have to alt and tab twice from ZBrush in order to get them back. But it's a rare occasion, so it's cool. Dynamesh, let's see Dynamesh if it's active. No, it's not. Now it's active. And with Dynamesh, maybe we should Dynamesh it on a lower level, but we'll see. So I'm not going fast with these horns. I'm just taking my time. I want them to look good. And we'll see if they will, but probably they will at some point. So with the move brush, which is 4 in our case, because, you know, we have put this short keys, it's much easier with the short keys, I promise you. Without them, it's a hell. You can work maybe 3 times faster with those short keys. Without them, living hell. It's amazing. It's just unworkable in ZBrush for me. Yeah, I'm so used to this. And yeah, I'm pressing 1. I'm standard. I'm pressing 2 clay tubes, 3 pinch, 4 move, and I just know my stuff. And if you will start working like this, you will very soon know your stuff too, and you will be very easily working with those things. And by those things, I mean the brushes. Let me see. So the horns, they have this kind of a thing here. Let's see. And I will do it. And then here and yep, I'm just thinking out loud. Sometimes those kind of models, and I chose this model because it's kind of easy to make, so there's no rush. We'll make it very easy and fast. But it's not gonna be that fast because I'm trying to teach you something about something. So yeah, you know already how to move geometry, how to rotate geometry, and how to dynamesh, which is pretty important. So you know a lot of things already. But we will go through masks also, although we don't need masks right now exactly, but we will need them in the future. So next thing I want to do, maybe we will get back to the horns later, but for now they're looking nice. Probably when we have the body, we can just make the triangulations needed in our minds to do the horns again. This I will show you now how to rotate two objects or more at once, but not now. First, let's learn how to add geometry. So now I need to make the body. It will be easier for me, or the most easy thing, to add the body using append. So when we are on subtool, so tool menu, subtool, and then we go to append. Append subtool, press it, and then don't move your mouse anywhere else except in the menu, because if you go someplace else like here, the menu is gone. So pressing and going directly to the menu and staying inside will be your best bet for this menu to stay here, because if you go a little bit outside, it's gone. So append, go here, sphere 3D. Now we go to the sphere. We make sure that we have symmetry, because when you append, you don't have symmetry. You see, pressing X will activate symmetry, and then we'll have to move this sphere down and make it bigger. So W, go to the exact front without perspective, and we move the sphere down. So if you pivot, for example, is like this, you cannot move it down very precisely, because you know it will go someplace else. So what do? We just press Alt and then press this button here. This button will reset orientation of the pivot. It will do it like this. It's pretty easy. And now we can do everything, and we just gonna expand this a lot and put it back like this. And now I'll make it even a little bit like this. So with those handles here, we can enlarge our model on those axes, which is pretty cool. Yes. So now we have symmetry, we have everything, and with the big move brush, we can start just doing this. Move brush in the beginning of every model is my best friend. Also dynamesh. Dynamesh and move brush are my best friends. So we will see. Let's see. So the helm is from here to here, and then from the helm, from the chin down, we have one helm and something. So it's pretty close. And now we have three subtools. You see the horns, the head, and the body. Or this is not exactly the body, this is the blueprint of the body. Okay. And then we need to move this helm with the horns, not move it, but rotate it front, because if you see, it's looking up and it has to look a bit down and more of the forehead to be showing. So we go and press W. So our pivot is active. Then we press Alt and drag our pivot here, because we will rotate to this kind of axis, and then, very important, press this little tiny button here. And now we'll transpose all the subtools. Wow. Okay, but we don't want all. We want only the head and the horns. So what do? We press Ctrl Shift and drag this green rectangle to select only the head and the horns. And the body becomes unselected. And now we can move only the head and the horns. The other way to do it is to Ctrl Shift Alt, and then the rectangle is red. So we are excluding from selection the body. And then we just rotate, and we can see it from all angles. It's looking better now. Okay, and we again disable this because we don't need it on all the time. Now that we have this, I will look at the model. So when we look at it, let's turn perspective on. We see that the head is like this, and then the back is starting almost in the level of the head. So we have to move our back a little bit, not a little bit, a lot, like this. And then the horns obviously had to be, but all the time when you're moving something with big increments, with the move brush, we go like this. Or we can of course rotate the horns this way. It's not a problem at all, you know. We can always do that. But sometimes we need to do a bit of a hand fixtures, and this is more like it. So now I think you understand how to move one subtool, how to move a couple of subtools at the same time, or at least you know the basis of this. We will do it again in the next videos, so don't be afraid if you don't get it right now. It will be explained again because this is of course a tutorial for absolute beginners, so I assume that you need to be explained everything. So here with the down standard brush, I'm just marking where the armor will be and how it will look. It's not final at all, it's just markings and trying to achieve the proportions that we have on our model. Yeah, it's nothing too much, but it's starting to look kind of good. Of course, we need more work in order to make it work. More work to make it work. Of course, it's absolutely normal. This I will increase here. And now you look at the geometry here. It's not very cool because this is a regular sphere. So what I will do is Dynamesh it. Of course, we go to Dynamesh and but don't press Dynamesh when you're on big resolution. It's not worth it. So let's go to, for example, 44 again. And Dynamesh will make it 48, I don't know why, and Dynamesh. And now it's pretty high resolution, it's higher than the head, on the same Dynamesh number. And here we came to this thing. The bigger the mesh is here, the higher poly count it will be with the same Dynamesh. So this is at least 5 or even more times smaller than the body. So the Dynamesh on 48 is making this big of rectangles. Here it's making much smaller ones because at the same number. So yeah, that's how ZBrush is working. If we have something small, for example, let's do this. Let's get the horns, or let's get the head. Yeah, let's get the head, duplicate it, press W, move it up, make it smaller, and it's much smaller now. So if we Dynamesh now, Dynamesh is on 48 resolution, you will see what happens. The resolution is, you know, It's kind of the same resolution now. The squares are the same, but it's looking much less, much low poly, yeah, than this even. Okay, so you understand. Now, and I shown you how to duplicate subtools. You just press duplicate while you are on the subtool, and how to delete. You just go to the tool that you want to delete. You make sure that you are on that tool. Press solo to make sure, and then delete. And ZBrush will, are you sure? It will ask you. You say, okay, I'm sure. Yeah, why not? Well, yeah. So yeah, we have this. And now we can start pretty much making it. In the next video, probably we will learn about masks, how to make masks on the model like this. It's of course with control and just dragging, yeah, it's nothing too complicated, but we have to learn it, and we'll get back to it in the next video. Thank you and bye. So guys, welcome to another video where we will talk about basic ZBrush stuff, which is masks. Masks are kind of the same as in other programs like Photoshop. When you mask an area and you try to move or delete or whatever, and in this case we don't have delete, but if you try to do something, you can do it around the mask. The mask does not get touched. So how to mask? I told you it's with Control key. First, we can mask in the object. In the object, if we start with Control on the object, you see I'm pressing Control key and it's going to mask. So I'm holding Control key and I'm just drawing a mask. I can draw a mask. When I press Control Alt though, so I'm including Alt key, and you see this minus sign before the mask, you know. Minus is plus because I'm only with Control, and then minus Control Alt. And now we can just extract from the mask, subtract maybe, yeah. So we can basically erase the mask where we want. The other thing we can do is start the mask outside the object itself, and we're making this kind of selection. This selection can be moved while we are making it. So I'm now holding Control, holding my tablet, and I start holding spacebar. So Control spacebar and dragging, and you can drag your selection and just place it here, for example. Then Control Alt spacebar, which is a little bit difficult, but Control drag, then Alt to remove mask, and then spacebar, and yes. So spacebar basically is moving the selection. This, or even this selection, we can move with spacebar. But for this selection we will talk later. For now, let's turn out to masks. So what I can see here is that this area here is alone by itself, and then the chest is very much smaller. In our case, it's not like that. So what can I show you is how to do this. So first I will mask exactly what I want to stay, and then I will shrink the rest, and I will show you how it's done. So in order to mask here, because I can see it, I will press this solo button here. I use it often, but it's a good thing that it's there by default, so it's nothing to worry about. I'm masking this area, and let's see how the design will be from the back. The thing is that from the back we don't have a design, but we can kind of manage to think of something, probably, we'll see. Maybe something like this. Yeah, I would like it to be something like this. Okay, and now while we were on mask, now I will go to 4, which is move brush, and if I start moving like this, you see it's not very good. So I will just increase my brush with the bracket keys, or from here, or if you press S you can increase it, but I like to increase it with the bracket keys because I've used that in Photoshop way before I learned ZBrush, so it's kind of second nature to me. And I'm just moving with very big brush this thing inwards so it's smaller, and that's okay. We can then invert the mask. So now if I want to work on the upper side, I will just just click, not drag, just click outside the object. So click, and yeah. Maybe you're wondering what will happen if we control click in the object, but just click. We will feather the mask. So this kind of this points that the mask is meeting non-mask area. So the border will be feathered. Let's see. So control and click. Click, 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 click. It's feathering. I'll control Z a few times. Control Alt and click will sharpen the mask. So, almost everything in ZBrush is with Control, Shift, and Alt. So it's not that difficult. Control, Alt, Shift, and dragging or clicking. You just have to know what to expect from ZBrush. And it's pretty good. So, next thing we want to do is work on this area. We can just do this and this and this. And I think we have touched most of the things about masks. So you may notice that for now we just had subtool menu and the geometry menu and only Dynamesh, and that's it. So to start sculpting, you don't need too much menus. You need just to know some things, just some stuff. So don't be scared, don't be intimidated by ZBrush, because ZBrush has a lot of menus, a lot of things. It has stencil, it has stroke, it has tool, yeah, this is our menu, transform, Z plugin, and Z plugin has a lot of things in it. We are using one of these things, from Z plugin. We are using from Subtool Master, mirror. Where is this? Mirror. It's here. But it's the only thing I use from there. So there are most of the things that I use, or most of the things that you will need, are here now in our interface. The brushes here, most used brushes, and the light here that we will need maybe in the end, and everything like this. So what I like to do now is make sure this is big enough here. Okay. And now I will show you, because the masks we already done it. So how to remove a mask completely? We can do this with Control Alt drag and just disable the mask, or we can Control drag outside the object. Exact thing that we're doing with the Dynamesh. We can Control drag. So if we Control drag now without a mask, there's no mask. If we now Control drag, it will make a Dynamesh, it will Dynamesh it. You can see Dynamesh. And yeah, we have a good hole in. Very cool. So, but if you have a mask and Control drag once, it will remove the mask, and the next Control drag will Dynamesh. So you have to bear it in mind. What I want to do is separate this part in order to be a separate part. Very cool. So I will show you now something that I used recently, the last like 3 years maybe, and it allows me to work only in ZBrush, not going to Max and everything, for hard surface modeling, and it's pretty good. But bear with me here. We will do it a lot of times, maybe a couple of times here. So if you don't understand it now, although I will explain it very carefully, it's not a problem. I will explain it also some other time. So we're going to mask here. So Control drag and just make a mask. But try to avoid the corners. So go near the corners, but not too near. Try to avoid them. It's not a problem to go a little bit inwards, but the thing is that we need more flat area. We don't need to go like this. It will be awful. So we do this, and then we just mask everything. If you want to mask bigger, you just Alt, click, and then release Alt. And the model will go very much away from you, and then you'll be able to control and drag to mask a big area. But you don't have to control that way, so don't go too far. Don't go too far. Okay, so this way we don't need to increase our brush size. We need just to get away from the model. And that's the good thing about not using the dynamic mode for brushes. Very cool. Again, I'm using pen tablet. So if someone asks, it's Intuos, I think 4. Yeah, Intuos 4, I think I'm using. Nowadays, the modern Intuos is, I think, 8 or 7, I'm not sure. So, now, we want to extract this, and I will show you how. So, in the subtool menu, in the bottom, we have this extract option, in the very bottom of the menu. So, extracting is pretty easy. You just press extract, and you will see that we have some mesh here. But if we rotate, it will disappear. Extracting has to be accepted. So it's just a preview here. If you move, it will disappear. So extract and then accept. And now you see we have this mesh and we are on it. It's masked a little bit and everything. So I will show you now the polygroups in ZBrush. If we turn on the polyframe, you will see, let's get rid of the mask by just making a selection with control. You will see that we have one group, one color here, one color here, which is the border, which is the thickness, and one inside. Most of the time, the inside color is different from the outside color. Now it's not, but I think there are different polygroups. How we can see if they are really different polygroups? We can do this. Control-Shift, click. When you Control-Shift click on a group, it will isolate that polygroup. So, Control-Shift, click. And you see that now we have only this group. Since this is only one-sided polygons, we cannot see their other side. We have a remedy for that. We can press double here, and they will be visible. But let's don't do it now. So now we're isolating only this polygroup, and the others are hidden from this subtool here. We can see them, only them, by Control-Shift dragging outside here, and we will see the other polygroups that are inside and the thickness. Now we can Control-Shift click, and we will hide also the thickness, and the thickness will be now hidden along with the top layer, top polygroup, and we can even make this different color polygroup. So now, bear with me, we'll go to, again, the tool menu, of course, but down to polygroups here, polygroups. So you have to find it. It's between visibility and contact. And contact I haven't used ever in my life. I didn't know that this existed, but whatever. Polygroups, and then just auto group, and it will be green. And now if we show everything by Control-Shift click, just click, we have shown everything, and now they're obviously different polygroups. Although they were before, now they are obviously polygroups. So don't do the mistake to make Dynamesh. From now on, we'll not use Dynamesh for this particular mesh, for this subtool. So what we want to do, we want to isolate Control-Shift click. So Control-Shift is basically working with polygroups, hiding parts of the mesh and stuff. For example, Control-Shift dragging, we can hide parts of the mesh that we haven't touched, and now we have this. This is very useful. We can mask this, for example, and then Control-Shift click to show everything, and we have this mask, which is useful sometimes. But what we want to do is Control-Shift click, and now we have this. Then we will delete the hidden parts. So everything else will be deleted when we press del hidden, which is, let me see, where is del hidden? If it's merge split, I'm not sure where exactly is del hidden. Probably it's in modify topology. No, del hidden. Yeah, it's here. It's very much hidden, this button, del hidden, and I'm using it all the time. So I have it in this menu, and it's here, del hidden. So del hidden, and now we have only this. No matter how much we control click here, nothing else will appear, but we need only this. Now we want to use Z remesher. Z remesher will make this a very much more manageable topology, low poly, so we can easily make it the shape we want. So we go to Z remesher and we can Z remesh, but we don't want to Z remesh. From this menu here, which is pretty big, I use only Z remesher and target polygon count. So I have it here, Z remesher, target polygon count, sometimes keep groups and detect edges, but not quite much. So I have them here, I rarely use them. So Z remesher is here. You notice that we don't use everything in ZBrush in every menu. We're using just few things from here, few from there, and most of them I have just here in this menu or here, which is good. So now we go to target polygon count, the lowest possible, which is 0.1, and Z remesh. And now we wait a little bit. It will not be long, I think. And we have this. And this is the low poly I promised you. This is the low poly version of the mesh. It's pretty good to work with low poly because when we start, for example, to make a pose or something, for this character I'm not sure we will make, but maybe we will, why not? Yeah, it's pretty good. So when we start making something, we'll have a low poly version, and when you're moving around and doing it, it's very much easy to have this low poly. And I recommend it. Also, we can Z remesh it again and again. How many times we want, doesn't matter. It will be smoother and smoother. So now we'll press this and we'll see what we have here. Yeah, solo without solo. Yeah, we have just to be everything visible, and we can just work it out. I see this is pretty narrow and the helmet is a bit going like this. I think this is fine, and this could be even narrower here. So let's do this, and I think this is good, but this thing here I don't think we need, because here will be his arm and it's impossible to have armor there. So what we can do is, again, hide part of the geometry and then del hidden. That's how we work. So to hide parts of the geometry, we press Ctrl Shift and Alt, and you see red because we are hiding. So I will hide this and then this and then this. So be very careful from which direction you are hiding, because for example I want to hide this and I'm not very careful and I'm just hiding it like this. Yeah, it's hidden, but look from the back. Yeah, nothing. But let's see again. Like this. Hide it. And now you see. So be careful how you hide it. So that's why I do this, because I know that below this there are no polygons and I cannot hide them by accident, the back polygons. So I'm just working here with the move brush, with the smooth brush a little bit, and just making this work. So I think we have managed to make those things. I will explain again, maybe not that detailed explanation I will make, how we work with polygroups, but every time I will show you, I will tell you the shortcuts and the things you have to press. So don't worry if you didn't get it. So just for the end, we will make those arms by pressing B to go to the brushes, curve tool brush. Now make my brush size a little smaller and do this. And you notice it's fine, and I will accept it by just clicking here and it will be fine. Of course, now you see that this, what I hidden is not hidden and it's not gone. So what we can do, first, we made the hands in the same subtool, the arms, with this. So we need to separate them. Split hidden, split unmasked because it's masked. So always split unmasked, for example. Yeah, this is here. So I will solo it, and again I will hide this very easily, and I will check out if everything is okay. It's okay. So now I will del hidden again, and now it's good. Now it's fine. We'll make thickness in some of the next videos because we have to say goodbye for now. But in some of the next videos we will make thickness for this part, and I will show you how to work with the Z modeler brush, but that will be some other time. For now, let's say goodbye, and in the next video probably we will make these shoulders, or at least kind of start to make them. They are a very important part. They are making a lot of the silhouette, so we have to be careful there. And also one thing, when you are extracting something like we did, the mesh you are extracting from remains masked, so be careful with that. We can unmask by just dragging, control dragging, and we are okay. And now, see you in the next video, of course. And we are here again. Yes. So, let's do it. Let's continue doing it. So, now I promised you, this time we will do the shoulder. So, I don't know if you understood how I make the arms, but I made them the same way I made the horns. So, if you're not sure, because I don't think I explained it quite well, if you're not sure how I make the arms, go and see how I made the horns. It's with this brush, curved tube brush, and with just with this brush, yes. But to learn how to work with this kind of brushes, which are curved brushes, you have to go to the tutorial about the video about the curved tube brush, because there I explain how to work with this kind of brush. So here I'm using mostly the move tool, and I'm preparing everything, just touch here and there. It's not mandatorily that I will make everything perfectly and exact the same way here. I will try, but the thing is that it takes time, and also it takes to have all the parts first. So next, what we want to do, we want to go to the body by alt clicking, you know, with alt clicking on the objects, we're changing the subtool, and that's faster than just trying to find it here, but still, let's try it here. I'm on the body, I can press solo. Now I want to make this kind of shoulder pad or shoulder. It's a little bit complicated. We can make it from either a cylinder and then hide some parts of the cylinder and delete them, or we can make them the same way we made this armor here, this one. But I think from cylinder it will be a little bit more interesting, because we already have seen how to make this from extraction, and now let's see how we can make something from a cylinder. So you notice how my body disappeared because the icon here is gray of the eye. So the eye, if we press the eye, it is here. If we press the eye again, it's not here. But if we press the eye on the active subtool, which is the armor on the shoulders, they don't disappear because it's active. And when the tool is active, no matter if the eye is active or not, it will be seen. The tool, it will be visible. That's the thing. So one thing I want to show you about the visibility is shift click on one of the eyes will disable the visibility of all the subtools. Shift click again will enable it. Yeah, this could prove useful. We'll see. So we will append from here, append. Go to the menu without going out of the menu because it will disappear, and probably cylinder 3D from here or from here, it will be okay. So we get the cylinder and we have to go to the cylinder, so either here or here. You know, we are on the cylinder. Now we press solo to work only on this cylinder. Make sure when we're working on this kind of things like the cylinder to not have the perspective on, because yeah, it will be bad. Then we turn on polyframe, disable perspective, and now we'll hide parts of the cylinder, most of the parts of the cylinder, almost everything, and we'll leave just that, because we need we don't need to have too much edge loops. We don't need them. And then we will del hidden, and then I'll go here, Control Alt Shift drag, then space, it's a little bit difficult, and drag it here. So I will hide this and then del hidden. And now we have this, and now I pressed W to get my pivot. And if you want to center your pivot to the unmasked part of your model, now everything is unmasked, so center to the model, just press Alt and this button here, this one. Go to Unmasked Mesh Center. So Alt, press it, and it will go to the center, which is very convenient. Now when it's on the center, we can just drag this green slider to make it bigger. And then Solo, disable. Now we can move it to the side, rotate it with pressed shift, because with pressed shift, you know, if you see the degrees down, there are 5 degrees increments. If we don't press shift, it's a mess. So with shift, 90 degrees, and it will be cool. Now I'll make it bigger and put it where the shoulder should be, probably something like this. Move it with this handle, and it could be something like this, of course, a little bit wider. So why I don't want edge loops here? Because it will be much easier to make this kind of little here and then white here. So yeah, this will be easier for me to make. But first, Solo, and then we will delete half of the cylinder almost. So just drag like this. So what have I done? So let's see. I have arranged my camera so my cylinder is like a parallel to my horizontal line. Let's see it now. Okay, but I want it to be like this because I want to cut here, and I cut it here, and I think it's kind of good. Maybe we can cut a little bit more here, but probably not. Okay, so now what we want to do is start adjusting this. I'm pressing my move brush and I'm doing a little bit of adjustment. So let's see. The helmet ends here, and a little bit below ends this armor. In our case, this armor ends a little bit more below, probably, or not. Probably it's good. Yeah, it's fine. Yeah. So the shoulder is small. Yeah, I'm trying to get the move brush, and with the move brush, yeah, another thing. If you want to use the move brush to go inwards or outwards like this, you have to press Alt. Just press Alt. You see the minus sign. Without the minus sign is just in the middle of our brush, you know, the minus sign appears, and then we just click and drag. This is dragging right, this is dragging left. So left, right, or up or down. But the left and right is the best. So this way you're moving the polygons according to the normal of the point you have clicked on. So here, for example, Alt click and then move like this. Alt click here and move like this, you know? Yes. So let's just adjust this, make it bigger, and move this here, because you notice how this is in this area here. The end of the shoulder is starting from this area, so it should be around here, probably. Yes. And the shoulder itself should be a bit bigger. And in the back, we don't know how it is, but we can imagine it. Of course, we can always imagine it. And now I will have to show you the Z-Remesher brush, Z-Modeler, I mean, Z-Modeler brush, don't be mistaken, Z-Modeler brush. Z-Remesher is the other thing that I've shown you, that we made this. This is the Z-Remesher, and it's located here. Or we have it here, it's the same. But this time I will show you the Z-Modeler brush, which is this brush here. It's a very important brush for low poly modeling in ZBrush, and that's what we're gonna do now. This shoulder, I notice, is almost vertical here, but we will not make it vertical, we'll make it kinda on angle. Vertical is too much, I think. So I'm just moving with my move brush, rotating the camera, moving around, and that's why it's very important to be able to rotate and pan and move the camera around easily and freely, and that requires practice, of course. And if you try to make this model, and bear with me here, probably you will have a bit of a practice and it will be much easier for you every time you do something in ZBrush, I guess. Yes. So now I think it's kind of good. So we go to Z-Modeler brush and nothing happens except this falls down and we have this polysphere here. Why? Nobody knows. Now, how this Z-Modeler brush works? It works in this way. Now, Q-mesh a poly. You see, when we are on a poly, it's Q-mesh a poly. I'm not pressing anything, I'm just hovering. Hovering over edge, it's edge loop. Hovering over a point, it's doing something for a point. So, go to a poly, for example, press space, and you have all these options, and you get scared and run away. Yes, I know, but don't be scared. I was scared first time I saw this. They introduced this to ZBrush, I think 3 or 4 or 6, no, maybe 4 years ago, something like this, or 5. But no matter. The thing is that we are using some of the options there, not everything. So don't be scared. So first, we go to an edge loop. Edge, not an edge loop. Because by default, when we click on an edge, with this brush, we're making edge loop. But we don't need that now. I'm not sure why this made this kind of thing here. Huh. It's strange, but we'll see. Del hidden. I haven't pressed del hidden. Now it's good. Okay. So we want to make this edge loop here so we can make this lip and the bottom one too. So I will show you now on the edge and then press space. And then we have insert here. This is the action, all actions, and what they apply to. So insert single edge loop or multiple edge loops. We need single one for now. So insert is one of the main things we do with edges. Insert, crease sometimes, and yeah, bridge, but insert is the main thing. So insert single edge loop. We go insert it here. Then we can insert one in the bottom too, but let's not do it now yet. First we go to this thing here. We want to select only this row of edges here. So we go to edge, one of the edges, press space while we are on Z-Modeler brush, of course. You see it here in the top left corner, we are on Z-Modeler brush. So edge, hover it, don't click it, then press space, and then stay on this menu, because if you go out, no, until you're pressing space, you're okay. So I'm just holding space now. Then we need to mask, not an edge, but edge loop complete. Let's try that. Edge loop complete. So click it, and now this whole edge is masked. And now I can reverse the mask, so this whole edge will be unmasked and everything else will be masked. How do you invert the mask? Of course with Control, clicking outside of the object. Just click, don't drag, click. And now it's unmasked. Now we can call our pivot and just center it to the unmasked portion of the model, and then just make this and this. And then I press Q to get out of the pivot mode, and press 4 to get out, this 4, to get out of Z-modeler mode, Z-modeler brush, and then I increase my brush and just do this. Just manually adjust what happens with this lip. And it's starting to take a pretty good shape, yes. So with Z-modeler brush, we can do a lot of things. And one of the things that we will do with Z-modeler brush in the course of our tutorial or course, we will make thickness of objects. And this is very, very cool feature. We can extrude polygons or parts of polygons, not parts of polygons, some polygroups we can extrude. We can do a lot of things with this brush. So it's very, very good. Z-modeler brush is one of the best tools that were introduced in ZBrush in the recent years. Maybe the best, because it allows us to make things in ZBrush without going to 3D Max and stuff. Before that, I was like always going to 3D Max, making